to write poetry, and a rhyming dictionary that's all on one page is no fun at all. So they invented pagination quite a long time ago in ancient China. And this was one place that they invented it. In the upper right, these are students in Poland, and we were on a field trip in the salt mines underneath Krakow. They're looking at sculptures made by the miners centuries ago. Lower right, these are students that are studying perspective drawing in Istanbul. And lower right, they're also studying perspective, but on site in on a field trip in a cathedral. That student there is in 6th grade. I bring these things up because when you're in the arts and when you're in teaching, resources are limited. Resources are always limited, but in teaching and in the arts, they are very limited. So when I was thinking about what could I present that you all might not, what would be of benefit, that's what I do, is I figure out how to do stuff with limited resources. That's my thing. So that's what I'm going to talk about tonight, getting stuff done with limited resources, or SANS on a shoestring. I have questions. So my first question is, how many people can get at least one day off of work for professional development? Hands up if yes, hands down, you're counted as no. Okay. All right. How many people have money allotted to them, any amount, for professional development? Hands up if yes, hands down if no. Okay. All right. How many people have, that was the point, any amount. How many people have enough money allotted to them for on-site SANS training? Enough time and money, hands up. Okay, all right. Well, I hope what I've got to say is of use. Okay. So, about this time last year, I knew that I wanted to learn more technical skills before looking for work, changing from art making and teaching into information security, all right? And I didn't have the breadth of experience to look at curriculum and to know whether or not a given curriculum was good. I had seen advice on the internet about Sec Plus. Well, do Sec Plus if you're starting out in information security. And I got a used book, and I regretted it, even at a used book price, because I could quickly see that with the Sec Plus test, you're pretty much just staying down here with remembering. That's essentially like vocabulary, all right? You can measure that with true-false questions. Next up is understanding how the pieces fit together. And then above that is when things start to get a little bit more interesting, you get to do stuff with it. And the top row is the most interesting and the most fun, but it's also the most demanding that you can be on a student in terms of the requests that you can make. It is also the hardest to assess. This is pretty much why when I looked at what you came out of a SANS course with, then I knew that this was probably where I wanted to put my energy, all right? It's not that simple. So the important stuff here, I recognize some of this text is small. The important stuff I repeated in red. Essentially, the 5-day course is more than $5,000. The 6-day course, more than $6,000. The exam, if you bundle it together, is $729. And I also felt the need to put the date that I accessed this on there because it did go up recently. Luckily, there are many ways to make a cat bald. In the spirit of putting everything out there, and maybe what I'm putting forward would fit somebody's circumstances, I'm just going to put them all out there. This first option is my least favorite, all right, where you challenge the test, all right? To just take the exam on its own is $1,700. US dollars, please. That is essentially reverse engineering the course content from the objectives, all right? This is not all of the objectives for the 401 course. They wouldn't all fit, and if you can't really read this, that was where I was going. That was my point with this, is that I did some of that. It's not easy. I don't recommend it. But it could, challenging the test might fit somebody's circumstances, and it is less than $6,000. I have another question, and that is, how many people are have done the work-study program with SANS? Hands up. Okay, all right. How many people are familiar with the work-study program with SANS? Okay, all right. I like this option a lot better. Okay, SANS work-study is where you go early and you stay long and you stay late and you help them with all of the unskilled labor they need to get that conference to go in exchange for being a full regular student. You get this at an 80% discount. It's actually a little bit better than an 80% discount. So, what does it cost? The short version is, it costs $1,100. It includes books, MP3s, on demand if it exists for the course, and it can include the exam. I want to return to that point in a little bit, but it is a good deal. And the word is out about it. So, I put out 9 applications from between this past November through to March, and I got 3 rejections, 4 I didn't hear from, 1 wait list, and 1 acceptance. To my way of thinking, this was an excellent outcome. I have a friend who applied 10 times and got 0 acceptances. So it is a competitive process, because like I said, the word is out. So I had heard people online, like, you know, what is the pattern? How do they accept you? How do you get into this competitive thing? Definitely you want to apply to many and improve your odds, and having a strategy and making notes of what you applied to is helpful, because you want to look and think through which conferences in which cities have what you're interested in, and as soon as you're able to apply for those, then you want to put your application in, because that is one of the factors in your favor. Some people wait until the gate opens and do it immediately. That's a good plan. Be one of the first. That's one good thing to do. Okay, so if you were like me and you're just starting cold, the best of all possible things, of course, is an instructor recommendation. I didn't have that. I didn't know anybody at SANS. I didn't have any prior SANS certificates or advisory board, none of that. And they ask you all of those things on the form. And if you're like me, then these 2 fields are pretty much your way to stand out from what could be 100 people wanting that spot. Why do you want to volunteer for SANS? What would set you apart from other volunteers? Given that you might have 4 sentences to stand out from all of the other applicants, it makes sense to give it some thought. Run it by somebody else or a couple somebody else's for a sanity check and a grammar check. Even if you just do a total of 4 sentences, you probably want that they are sentences that are memorable, or at least, you know, get you noticed. And I want to tell you where the booby traps are. So this goes back to the exam possibly being included, okay? If you stay at the conference hotel, or you stay with family or friends that are within a 60-minute drive of the venue, then SANS will include your exam attempt for free. If you stay at a different hotel that is cheaper, they will not include the exam attempt. And you've got the course, but you don't have the possibility for the certificate to show that you did it, you passed that test. So it makes sense to think about, where have you got places to stay on somebody's couch, or you know, if they are good enough to have a guest bedroom, because the conference hotel can be more than the tuition, and you want to prepare for that in one way or another. Another issue about this particular box in the form is that it might be that you have better odds of being accepted at a larger event. The reason for this is they have more people that they're going to need to help, but also they can have experienced facilitators mentor the new facilitators, and it makes everything go a lot smoother. One really nice thing about when I did the work study program was the expectations were really clear what they wanted you to do. They told you, they had mentors help you. It was really crystal clear. The next option that I want to tell you about is scholarship. So they have two programs that the Vet Success and the Women's Immersion Academy. The Vet Success, it has been going on for a little bit longer, and that's why more vets have been through it, 149. 43 women are currently or have graduated in the Women's Immersion Academy. They are 100% scholarships. You can do either 2 courses or 3 courses. The third one is optional. And in the spirit of maybe something for everybody, I guess you could just choose to do 2, but you could also choose to do 3. And anyways, it is another excellent program. So being as it's an excellent program, how do you get in? What makes a successful candidate with the Cyber Talent Immersion Academies? I asked Sonny Sandelius, and he was telling me that they look for candidates that show a strong aptitude to learn technical material, the drive to want to make a career in information security, and they also want to see the level of maturity and discipline needed to succeed in the academy and professionally. And the future of these programs, SANS would like them to grow beyond their current capacity. So if you think that you know any veterans or their spouses are also eligible, who are transitioning out of the service, who are interested in information security, or women who have not worked in information security but have an interest, that's what these programs are designed to do, get more women and more vets into information security. They have a 90% hire rate of the graduates. Here are some of the positions that graduates have headed into. And these are some of the places that the graduates have gone. I also have a colleague in the program who went to Duo. Duo's not on here, but she is very definitely working there. If you think that you would like to inquire about eligibility for either of these programs, or know someone who you'd like to pass on forward, or you'd like to apply, or you'd like to hire someone who's been through either of these programs, Sonny Sandelius is the operations manager, and he is the contact. The other possible solution for getting involved with SANS is QC testing. QC testing is 1099 work that you're looking at the on-demand video and comparing it to a PDF, and you are looking for discrepancies. One thing that Karen, who graciously answered my questions about QC testing, she wanted me to pass on to you how much they care about quality at SANS. And actually, that was one thing that I learned doing the work study, was that SANS really, really cares about their brand in the best sense of that. When there was any issue with, when there was any issue at all, it went immediately up the chain of command faster than you would ever think possible. They read every single person at every step of the chain reads each of the student evaluations, and any issues in them, they're dealt with, like even just 3s out of 5. And so They really care about it. That is one of your responsibilities as a facilitator, is to make sure that the daily evaluations are passed out, to guard them with your life when they come back, to tally them and scan them and send them off, where they will be tallied in again for to make sure for accuracy and processed. So regarding QC testing, I thought the mission statement didn't just describe what you do for it, but also gave a good idea of the culture to ensure that students receive the best SANS online learning experience from course content, instructor performance, and technical support, correct, complete, and with minimal distraction. They really care about quality. If you are interested in QC testing, the contact is Melanie Moyles. She is the quality engineer. You'll want to mention how you heard about the program, and if you are part of any current SANS programs, but I would not stop there if you have any relevant experience. For example, I have a colleague in the scholarship program that had technical editing experience. So of course, if you had that, put that forward, put forward anything that is relevant. And in the spirit of something for everybody, for the experts, subject matter experts, test labs, virtual environments, assist students via live chat or email, and advise quality on content matters. Matt Austin is the contact if you are interested in this kind of work. And again, you want to mention how you heard about the program. Are there any questions?
I can do a shameless plug too.
Okay.
At the NEOISF, because the NEOISF, we're helping volunteer at the NEO, the summit. At the end of the month, SANS will be there. In fact, I think Ed's doing the keynote, SCOTUS.
I saw that.
But they're there. If you happen to attend there, go there. The other thing is like on the SANS website, there's a lot of free webcasts. You can sign up for them, go check it out, right? And take a look. I mean, a lot of their courses, you can download a chapter and just take a look at it and see if it interests you. I mean, it's really well put together material. I've got like 2 or 3 of the certifications from pen testing and a lot of the defending ones. They're a little light on the defending. They're real heavy on the like SOC, attack, and pen testing side, but really good material. So there's not a lot of conferences regionally. There are some opportunities where people that have gotten certified come and do like a 10-week course, like in the regional area, and teach one of the courses here. So if you can't get to Baltimore, I don't know if the helpers for those regional ones. There's
like a few levels of helping with SANS. So if you think you eventually want to be a SANS instructor, there's actually a lot of work and steps and commitment involved in getting to that point. The first one is like mentoring with those local classes, and then eventually you can work up to being the teaching assistant. But as the facilitator, you're not helping other students with any of the course content. You're a student, and they have someone else helping troubleshoot, answer questions, being an extra teacher in the room to help.
But their coursework's really good. Like the NetWars is really a lot of fun to do too.
And they're included if you go to a conference that has it. Yeah, so that's the trick. If you think you want to do NetWars, you just look for a conference that has it, because you get in with the course. That's another excellent point too that I want to make. I wanted to avoid the stuff that if you were interested, you could see it on the website, but the website is really rich. There's a ton of stuff on there if you're interested in any of these things. Any other questions? Tell me.
So what's the discount, I guess, for the
It's better than 80, I'm sorry?
is there a discount for like if you're an SME or?
So, not being an SME, I don't know the details, but I know when you QC test, you have access to the on-demand and the PDF. So, like, you don't get the exam. That's not your purpose, you're working. But if your purpose is to learn the material, you have to read it for your work. Now, they make you sign an NDA that says, we're not going to bother killing you if you share our stuff, because after we're done, your life will be a worthless shell. But, but you must read it in order to do your job. It says on there, like, you know, don't use it except for your job, but you must read it to do your job. And if your purpose was to learn, there's your in. And also, I kind of presented that last, the SME and the QC testing, because it's all about persistence, right? So you stick around, you do work for a while, and then you end up, perhaps, potentially, with contact to a lot of courses. So, and they'll pay you. So, were there other questions? Tell me.
So how far did you wind up taking this?
So, I did the work study once, like I mentioned, the 1 and the 9, and I am in the Women's Immersion Academy, and I also am QC testing because, like, once is never enough, and if once is good, then 80 must be better, right? Someday I'll be SME, but not today. So do you know, a lot of people didn't, it seemed to me. So when I attended the 2 live classes that I attended, the work study 1 and the first course of the scholarship is in person, and then the next 2 are online. The teachers both separately asked, just for a show of hands, who's taking the exam afterwards? And the funny thing was, not that many people, not that many people. I would say less than a quarter, which is kind of odd to me. If you did the work, would you want to show that you did the work? So the one drawback being some HR people seem to not be as aware, but if you can just take a look at what the objectives are for the course, and you can see what was covered, you can work it back from there.
But I mean, I thought you had to do the exam sometime, so I mean, you could take it immediately afterwards.
So if you've gone for the exam option, you have a 4-month window to study.
Oh.
If you already know this material and your place of employment has just sent you on professional development that you're already using this stuff every day, then you can take it when you want. I think you have to wait a week or something like that.
Okay.
Not a long time. They make you not do it the next day. But you have 4 months until you're going to need to pay for an extension or take it or let go of doing it. But working on the material, especially if you were doing full-time work in addition to the studying, I would take the time you needed in order to feel comfortable to do the test. So,
Hey, Valerie.
tell me.
One thing on that test too, yeah, you got 4 months to do it, and usually what happens is, like 65, 75% is passing. You can bring all the course materials. The books are usually like just numbered.
It is open
index,
book.
no glossary. So a lot of the prep to take the test, you put together kind of an index,
Yeah.
right? Because what you really want to do is score really high on it. Because if you get over 90%, then you get invited to be a
In the
reviewer
Smart People
and on board
Club.
and stuff like that, which is really cool because it kind of connects you with a lot of different people and a lot of different options across all the courses,
Yeah.
not just the one you took.
Yeah.
So it kind of behooves you to like take the course, come back, review it, maybe even take a couple times and go through it, do some of the practice tests, and not just remember from rote memory. I mean, usually a lot of the courses are like 4 or 5 books, like 1,800 to 2,100 pages, and you're just, hitting with different examples of things. But the courses, you go to like a learning center, you sit in a locked room, you can bring in material, and it's time.
Yes.
And the courses, like the test, you can't go back. So if I take test for question 1, I can't go back to it. I got to answer it to move on. And that's what's really kind of
There's no
harder.
checking your answers.
Yeah, but that's what makes that certification really valuable, is because you kind of know it or know how to walk through it.
Yeah, and the 90% threshold is worth studying for and getting. You can get into the advisory board, which is the Smart People email.
Yeah.
It's just an email list, but But the conversation is really thoughtful.
Yeah.
And you have access to all kinds of people who also have scored 90% or better and are working and may have already solved some issues that you're working through now, you know.
And that work study program that you get in, is that like a 12 day or?
So you go and work the day before the conference starts. So your schedule starts the day before, you know, the course. And your day could start at 7 o'clock. It could end at 9. It could end at 11. My friend, there was a hitch with the Net Wars. And somebody attacked the server, and then they had to sort it out. And so it delayed things a little bit in the evening. Of course, they got it worked out. But his evening ran a little bit late because they needed to, it's you know, you're there to be the help. So, and you also do tearing down at the end of the course as well. So people generally leave like maybe 2, 3 o'clock, and then you stay, and it could be until 5, or it could, you know, I mean, depending, it depends.
So it's before and after, it's not during the class like a night or anything.
You might have responsibilities that are during the class, but they would be rare and small. If they're, for example, you are the contact if students are too hot or too cold in the room. You are the one that is communicating with the powers that be to get the temperature adjusted. If the AV fails during the course, you are the one that runs. And at the beginning of the conference, maybe you miss 15, 20 minutes giving the people who are just arriving their books and checking their ID and giving them their badges. You also have to check that everybody's got their badge on when they come in the room. Somebody snuck into a course and and then they presented on it at DEF CON. And so SANS cares, and they want that you check the badges. They want that you check the badges. So, I mean, like, it's not sophisticated work, but it matters that you do it well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, are there other questions? Well, thank you for listening to me.